Today on Criminal Minds, we talk about anti-bullying. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV. We are here doing the Criminal Minds AFTERBUZZ TV after show, as you can tell by the amazing theme song that plays.
Yes. This is deep. Is this the real? Oh, this is the real.
This
music.
is the theme song, yeah. I never get tired of this theme song.
No,
it was my
so
ringtone for a year.
You are such a
Like,
freaky fan.
That's how much I love the show.
You're a freaky
Like, imagine
fan.
me waking up to this for a year. Yeah, true story.
I'll tell you what, though, the show
Anyways.
really is good. You were right.
It's so good.
Yeah, but you're a little
That's
freaky
why we're
about
here.
your fandom, but
I know,
it's still good.
a little bit.
It's
But
fantastic.
anyways, what's up, everybody? I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. Joining me, you can hear the voice of Chris.
I am Chris. You can find me at Chris Howard Live on both Twitter and Instagram. Reach out, say hello, talk about the show. I like it.
And
Michelle Cullen. Hey, what's up? You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
excellent, the Anti-Terror Squad. Real quick thoughts about this episode. Michelle, let's start with you.
It's in Winona, Minnesota. I lived there for 6 years. It struck a chord because, as I was talking about right before we started, I did my master's thesis on cyberbullying prevention in education. So this definitely struck a chord with me, especially high school students. Like, I could get nerdy about Kohlberg's theory of moral development, but maybe later. It was powerful.
Okay.
I'm just curious about that. So you did the thesis on that, and did you talk about methods to stop it?
Yeah, because something's in my eye. Sorry.
This is live, you guys.
This is live. This is really happening right now.
It's
in
like
this moment.
eyeball bullying.
I don't know what happened. I had to write a paper that identified the different characteristics of cyber harassment among college students specifically, and then come up with proactive solutions, which is kind of hard because it's primarily education and just not being a jerk.
Right.
I mean, there's more to it than that, but
To sum it up.
Fascinating.
to sum it up really bluntly.
Huh.
Chris,
Well, there's
what are
another
your
method
thoughts?
in this show. That maybe is something we don't agree with, but I thought in watching this, because this is my first season watching the show, so I haven't been watching it since I was popped out of the womb like you, but I'm really enjoying the show. So this episode I thought was good because it was it's close to home. It's tied into current issues, things that are really happening, and I just once again love the nuts and bolts way that they put the case together throughout the thing. So I love the episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, all right, great. We'll start off with, of course, the victimology. There was 3 different families that was really affected. We'll start with the first one, the Bergstrom families in Winona, Minnesota.
In Winona,
Which
Minnesota.
is very coincidental that you went
That's strange.
Lived
That is
there.
strange.
college
Lived there
for
for
6
6
years.
years.
Wow. It was meant to be, you guys.
was.
They were all shot execution style, but one daughter was left alive, Amanda. What did you think of Amanda? Just her personality when we first meet her. Was it everything you expected from a teenager?
Pretty much for me. I mean, when she said, "See you later, bitches," you got the
Right.
sense that you got that little edge to her personality that made you think, okay, is it possible she was in on it? That's from the beginning. It's like just that little edge. But then when you saw the look on her face when she was discovering her family members dead, it's like there's no way that she could have been in on it because the shock was real. So then it was like, what did she have to do with it? But that "see you later, bitches" was just enough to let us know that bully aspect of her personality was there.
She had a little mean girl in her.
Little mean girl.
Yeah.
There you go.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I got that. But then, like Chris was saying, the reaction to her family's death was so genuine that there is absolutely no way that she could have been involved. But she did have that. I mean, knowing the whole episode now at this point, she had that like lack of understanding or lack of just world view when she was asking, why would this happen to me? How could this happen to me? People, when they are 16 or 17, don't really think about the real world repercussions. Not to say that this was a normal repercussion for being a bully, but it is an extreme thing that does happen. And
you'd never make that connection though. It'd be like because I tripped somebody at school or because I did this or I did that. That's why my family's not like you wouldn't make that connection naturally. But
So we get a little bit into the Bergstrom family. Like they're low risk. They're not quite the family to target, but we realize the unsub is a family annihilator thanks to taking out the whole Bergstrom family. But there was actually some drama going on with the Ronald Ferguson, who was having an affair with a mother. What did you think of Ronald and his interrogation? Did you think he was a part of this at all?
No, they pretty much nixed that out pretty quickly. He was a pretty young guy to be having an affair with a mother. But I guess for
really know
I
how
guess
old
guy,
the mother
yeah,
was.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And so it was interesting that he was having. You guys don't care, so he's going to have the affair with the mother anyway. Yeah, like, but they're like, yes, but no, I thought that was. It was unfortunate, but that's the type of thing I'm sure that they find in investigations all the time. She's having an affair. He's addicted to painkillers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped a lot of potential breadcrumbs for how this could have gone. With she missed her curfew, like she could have been a victim. Her mom was having an affair. I never thought he was involved in the.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Just like looking at him and his story of where he was, his alibi, and like I felt he was a very throwawayable character because he actually ended up being innocent. Where like his story was true, but
Odd that he ran though.
yeah, it was, and that's why I questioned. I was like, if you're not guilty, why would you run?
Right.
But he really, if you take his character out of this episode, he really didn't add anything other than the fact that the family's not as clean cut on the outside and outside appearances.
He added some confusion though, which I'm sure in a case like this, there's always multiple dead end leads that are there, so it's probably more true to life than one would think. Yeah.
But I mean, I will give it to Ronald that we did learn another quality about Amanda, that she's just a mean person and conniving. So like it also just shows like her personality. She's not the greatest person,
Right.
especially being teenagers. Teenagers are awful.
Teenagers are the worst. But you're also
They are the
wonderful
worst.
people, and you'll grow into yourself.
You were
Hopefully.
so positive.
Hopefully.
The world needs positivity right now.
Teenagers are terrible. Coming from now, I just sound bitter.
I'd say something, but I couldn't trump it.
And then moving on to the second family, a lot of families were involved in this. The Doherty family. We had Matthew Doherty, who was actually deliberately spared by the unsub. It was kind of creepy seeing the unsub go through the house and actually watch him pee his pants, but let him live.
Boy, that's kind of realistically weird.
But did you think that the unsub was going to get him too?
I thought for sure he got him.
Yeah.
Because they didn't show you right away. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually did expect Alvez to open the door and find a dead body for a second.
Yeah. It was a big surprise to see him alive when they opened it up.
Yeah, his interrogation was actually pretty interesting because I made the same connection too that they did around the same time, and I'm like, why did both of these families have one survivor?
Yes, exactly.
That
Sorry.
was like the question. I was like, why did both of these have one survivor? There's like the whole survivor's guilt thing, and I was like, that's probably the key main point.
Right.
And sure enough, it was because they realized the profile was inverted.
Yes,
Right.
they
Like,
needed to flip the
it's not-
victimology.
It's not about the family. It's about the person, the survivors.
All of the dead bodies were just a byproduct of the real intent.
Yeah, that's where it really got interesting, and you get to see the psychology behind it and stuff, and it's like, I wonder how often it's that deep, in the
Right.
real world, how often the pathology and the psychology runs that deep in terms of why they're doing what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like this was an intentional act against the families. This wasn't like an accident where you were all in a car crash, but only one survived. It was an
Or
intentional.
even rage in the moment,
Right.
Yeah.
But we did learn a lot. Unfortunately, it was sad seeing Matthew Doherty. Just how he handled it. He survived, thankfully, thanks to cell phones. The cell phones actually played a big part in this episode.
Yeah.
We'll get to there. We'll get to that. But I'm surprised how much technology actually did help save people.
Well,
Us.
that's
I say
the-
us like I was in the episode.
That is the one good thing, though, is that it's possible to track somebody down no matter where they are. There's positives to that and there's negatives to that, but from a protection and safety perspective, that really is pretty cool. That tap the button, we'll trace you and find you. You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, from the first two families, we learn about the victim and his profile, that he's a family annihilator, he's mission oriented, and he has personal connections to both of these. And then we get to the third family, which was only like really one person. His kid's name was Austin, and he was a bully, and he was the one who was actually attacked, not the family, the actual person.
So it went out of the pattern, and he got shot multiple times and bludgeoned.
Yeah, what did you think of that? That was kind of scary, especially with the father right there.
Yeah, I didn't get where the father was when that happened. Where
Yeah.
was
I
it?
don't think we
didn't
knew,
really say?
just the fact that maybe the father found the son.
Yeah, and then the fact that the trophy was taken back up to the bedroom was kind of weird too. That he used to bludgeon him with, and put it back with the other trophies. It's like, I guess he must have just kind of walked back up there, looked at the trophies, and thrown in the,
Right, but
the
like
one-
it was the overkill aspect of
Yeah.
it. Like
Right.
actually killing the one person who caused the pain, now inflicting the pain back on
Which is
him.
kind of like
Yeah.
the rage. So it was controlled in the beginning, and now the rage is growing.
Because he's
Yeah.
directly targeting those who
Yeah.
hurt him.
He's decompensating and devolving.
Yep.
Could you say that one more time?
Decompensating and devolving. Those are the two words that they use in the episode. I like to think I made that up.
So
but
you can learn new words every day. I was
Yeah.
telling Marissa that it's so amazing that you have all these words to like unsub. She knows what it is. She knows more of this jargon than I think they know on the show, which is pretty amazing.
Nah, but thank you. Not really, but thanks.
Thanks.
After 250 plus episodes, I think I know a few words.
See, and the writers that come on are probably new every now and then, so you might know them better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, they go into Austin's room. It's all messed up, so it was definitely a personal thing. But all the sports trophies reminded me of something. DraftKings. Chris.
There you go.
I believe you have something to say.
Yeah, I do have something to say, and I think that was so elegant how you passed that over to me. But the reality is that we also have sponsors here that we love, and they help us to bring this incredible programming to you, and these incredible lead hosts to you. No, this incredible programming to you.
You're making me
And
blush.
so we're going to talk a little bit about DraftKings Buzz, and this is all about fantasy football. So if you're not playing fantasy football, here's the thing to realize. That you can play online, and this we have the opportunity to be more interactive with our television experience and with our gaming experience, and you can win money with this. So the question is, how's your fantasy football season going? And I'm going to read a little bit from this. Your sleeper pick, are they still sleeping? Big question.
Maybe.
Big question. They could still be sleeping. It's not too late to save your season and win huge cash prizes at DraftKings.com. So that's DraftKings.com. Go check it out. DraftKings.com is the destination for 1 week fantasy football. So I've got friends that are playing this. They love it. But my friend Danny, who's on the host, she does the voice with me. She was doing fantasy voice, and she had a whole team built up, and she was losing on that, and she's moving over to DraftKings. So, and there's also the opportunity to win money on this one. So this is a good deal. Never again will injuries have you combing the waiver wire at 2 a.m. Every week is a brand new season at DraftKings. Just pick your contest, draft your team, follow the action live. So not only can you join us here and find out all about the show that we're watching, you can also play live and interact, not just on YouTube, but also over here at DraftKings. Renew old rivalries with friends, play them every week, or try 50-50 contests where the top half of all entries win cash. We're talking money in your pocket. Even if your current fantasy team is circling the drain, you can still win huge cash prizes at DraftKings. So don't wait. Start your new season at DraftKings.com. Right now, we're sending out a lot of appreciation to DraftKings for sponsoring the show here. Also, remember, when you go there, use the password. We get a password or a code word for you. It's BUZZ, B-U-Z-Z, and play free with your first deposit. So you don't pay anything. That's cool. You play free with a first deposit, right? That's code BUZZ, B-U-Z-Z, to play free for your share of over $100,000 in total prizes this weekend, only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions may apply. See the site for details. That
Boom.
is cool.
Awesome.
Boom.
It's
Boom. And
not
thank you,
just-
DraftKings.com,
Thank you, DraftKings.
Yeah.
Thank
for
you,
supporting our
First
Our
game
show
is free
here.
for
Yes.
100,000.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty
good.
cool.
And it's
you-
not just football; it's for every sport.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. it's
Well,
for every
why
sport.
the heck didn't anybody tell me that?
Because we love football here so much, and everybody's
true.
watching football.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So DraftKings
Every
promo
sport.
code Buzz. Thanks, guys.
Buzz. Love it.
All right. So from the third family from Austin, we learned that the behavior of the unsub is actually juvenile. Now, I have a question to ask you because, admittedly, I realized this in the first 10 seconds that we saw the unsub. Did you ever expect that the suspect was a teenager?
See, because they led us to believe that it was the teacher for a little while there.
The guidance counselor.
Yeah.
The guidance counselor.
Mr.
yeah.
Bakken, which we'll get to.
Yep.
But did you, from the first moment where the audience sees the unsub, he's blasting music and he's like tearing apart Amanda's picture, did you think the unsub was an adult or a teenager?
I thought a teenager.
Teenager.
I thought a teenager too. Okay.
So we got it quicker
I'm
than
glad we all got that.
Yeah.
Like my first indication was blaring music. I was like,
Right.
that's a teenager does
That's
that.
a young man's game.
cutting
my
up the
nephew
face.
does that.
Cutting up the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
It was like a kid having a tantrum.
Right.
So it's like it had to be a younger
Yeah.
person. Okay.
Although there was such composure around the shooting, a silencer. I mean, there was
Right.
really composed.
It wasn't. That's
Yeah.
scary, and that's what kind of hopefully threw the audience off to not think it was a teenager.
Right.
Yeah.
But moving on to, we did
Yes.
mention Mr. Bakken, who was the counselor per se at the high school there at the Pillsbury High School, that was actually giving counseling to the kids who've been bullied by said Amanda and Matthew and Austin. What did you think of Mr. Bakken? Did he seem like the person who was able to take out these families?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's more complicated because you can tell he was bullied, and from all physical outward appearances, he took the route in life of becoming an advocate for those whose voices aren't heard by the administration. But he still gets bullied himself. I mean, we saw a parent make fun of him
That was
during a
horrible.
crisis.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
a little rude.
I wanted to slap that woman. Like,
So-
we don't
Yeah.
need you in your
That's kind of being a
cardigan
bully, though.
sweater
Hello.
to tell me that my child freaked out.
So
I was
you
like,
want to slap her?
girl, bye.
You want to bully her back?
I was like, she's getting away with this in front of everybody.
In
I
front
was
of
like,
everyone.
your kids, you are the reason why your kids are bullies.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrible. You see where it starts.
But
Doesn't
it
get
kind
me
of it left room for the potential for a snap to happen if it was going to be Mr. Bakken.
It could have been though, and it could have been because it's like how he internalizes that. I mean, he's just the grown-up other kid, right? Is it Kyle? Kyle was the
Yeah,
one.
Kyle.
Yeah. So he's a grown-up Kyle. He just never flipped his lid when he was young to the same extent. So I thought it could have been it could have gone that direction. But I didn't think that the guidance counselor, unfortunately, was even a really good guidance counselor. He'd been there before, he'd felt it, but he had never grown. He hadn't really grown strong enough to help the kids deal with it, and he couldn't connect with the kids. So I know it's not a big part of the plot line, but
No, but it's true because
Yeah.
even the kids who were being bullied had to band together and
To
they
defend
were
themselves,
even,
right.
Yeah, they were even saying Mr. Bakken is a joke.
right,
So I mean, like his intentions were there. He tried, and
he just wasn't very good at it.
they held those meetings at the beginning of school and afterwards, but like nothing was going through. But what I learned about Bakken was during his interrogation. You can definitely tell he's been through it, and he had one of the better lines. Like it takes courage to come forward to admit other people who've been bullied, and I was like, that's very true. Like,
I was
that
bullied when I
happens.
was in school.
So was I.
Yep.
And now we're running network. So what's up?
What's up?
But I mean, like it's how you grow and go through it and move on and move forward.
Right.
Really, it doesn't seem like Mr. Bakken has done that yet.
Yes. I would agree with that.
And I mean, it's just kind of his demeanor and who he is. He developed into somebody who was still essentially weak. He never really stepped into his strength.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. There was that one shot in the hallway where we see Kyle, who's the actual unsub, getting tripped. He's like, okay, this kid's being bullied. He had that one look of disdain towards the guy who tripped him, and then immediately like panned it to Mr. Bakken, who also had like the same
Exactly.
facial expression. I was like, okay, it's one of these two.
But now, who did you really think the moment they did that whole little?
I thought it was Kyle.
I thought so too.
Only because we saw Kyle, the unsub, quote unquote,
Right.
like with his mini tantrum at the beginning. I was like, it's someone young.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, there he is.
There he is. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, pretty much. Which basically takes us to Kyle Eklund, and his group of the Anti-Terror Squad. What did you think of the squad? These poor 6 kids banding together trying to stick up for themselves.
I thought it was sweet. I thought it had such a pure good intent because it's so much easier to face really crappy things in life when you're not alone. Mm-hmm. And when someone can empathize and sympathize with what you're going through. And so, though it may not necessarily be the healthiest thing that a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds are trying to help themselves through this because they might not know the resources, at least they have each other.
Pretty amazing, pretty mature that they would be able to think that way to kind of band together for that. I mean, not the name wasn't, and even the name, you know, what the hell was it? Would feel like terrorism when you're young. And,
Yeah.
People get PTSD from extreme bullying and harassment.
I get it. Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it's pretty, well cited by them to be able to do something like that. But obviously, it wasn't serving the purpose that it needed to serve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Kyle's flashback memory during his initial? Well, I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but Kyle's flashback, knowing like how he got bullied, being tied up to a basketball pole.
It broke my heart, and I almost started crying watching it. Especially reading news today. Reading news today was a mistake. But yeah, it was. That's not normal bullying. That's abuse. That's assault. That's harassment.
And worse things than that happen all the time.
All the time.
It's like, and I think, was it in this episode where he said, because I remember hearing this, that the best way to create a terrorist is to go kill their parents. And,
that was also terrifying. That was a throwback to a Trumpism.
But there's a lot of reality to that, you know. I mean, so we look at the world in the global playing field where we go out and we'll bomb somebody and then we create new terrorists. That's what happens when, violence begets violence. And so, I mean, there's a lot of reality to it. There's truths that run through the show.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of Kyle and his friends, Zach, I believe his friend, in the car when they're talking about all this? And just like the slow reveal of Kyle's personality and how he really thought about it.
You
I mean, it showed that Kyle has devolved and he has desensitized himself from the pain that he's inflicting because he finds it justified by the pain he was in that was inflicted upon him. Whereas his friend, what's his name, Zach? Zach still has empathy. Zach is still like, it's going to get better. I have to believe it's going to get better. He's still looking at it with forgiveness and love and compassion, even though he's bullied.
He's a sweet little kid. He looks like a kind of a runt in the litter, but he has a good heart underneath it, you know.
Yeah. I felt for both of them a little bit because, like, it sucks when someone bullies you, but like when something happens to the bully's family, like you said, it was good that he had empathy and the fact that he's not the unsub.
Yes.
But we learned Kyle is, and no one, no matter how mean you are, no one deserves that.
Yeah.
To happen to their family. No one. That's sickening.
Yes, agreed.
But I did love the use of technology in this episode. It was used for good in all shapes and forms. We had Garcia, who was awesome.
She's awesome.
Going through all the Facebook profiles and reading the comments of people who were bullying and doing all the cross-referencing, what she does so well. But we learned about the Anti-Terror Squad private group.
Yeah.
That's amazing how quickly she was.
Nothing is private to Garcia, and it just proves that the internet is forever.
Very, very true. Very true.
Yeah, it is.
I thought that was a great way to compile everybody's list because they went from like 24 names down to 6.
Yeah.
Or I think it was 27, one of those numbers. But they went down to 6, and then they found all their cell phones at the high school in one location. Like they got the location just via GPS. So like technology really did play a great part in this episode.
Yeah.
It saved everybody's lives.
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part. It saved the kids' lives. We'll say that. But what did you think of the whole negotiation tactic with Prentice and how she talked Kyle down?
Where'd you go?
I don't even think it was a negotiation. I think she truly felt for him. And it was just giving him what he desperately needed to hear and explaining, because she read the report and she understands developmentally like what was going on with students and what he was experiencing during that traumatic assault, which is what it was. And she gave him what he desperately needed, which was, sympathy and respect and like compassion.
Which is what he needed.
Yeah.
And that's true to life. I think that in negotiation, they say you've got to accept the person, not the behavior. And, if you come out there with with conflict in mind, you're not going to be able to talk somebody down. You're not going to be able to negotiate them down. But if you come out there with understanding for that person, acceptance of the person, and you're able to talk to them about, with the compassion about why they might have acted out, and let them know that you don't have judgment about why. And it's like husband beats wife. Why? Ask him why. He says, because I want respect. Well, anybody can understand wanting respect. So they can go out there and have that conversation about wanting respect, and they can connect with the person without creating the conflict that would cause more damage.
Calm down the situation. Get them to realize what the scope of the situation is that they're in.
I love Prentice. She's amazing. She's my favorite. She's awesome. I loved the way that she talked him down and pretty much calmed him down, because if you think about it, like the first family that we see get annihilated was because of a female bully, and then we have a female adult who understands bullying actually talking him down. And I think that was just beautiful bookend to that. And so he turned himself in, which is good. I'm glad they didn't shoot him. I was like, when it involves any teenagers, it's hard to just have that. Even with the second family, when we saw the kid, it was the first family with the whole flashback. The first kid who died in the bathroom. I was like, how are they going to show shooting a kid? Yeah. And they did a cutaway, which I thought it was smart. Yeah. But when coming to the end with Kyle, I was like, they're not going to shoot him. Like, this is a teenager. They can't shoot that.
Right.
So I'm glad they didn't. It does happen, but like I also just thought, like, this is CPS. They're not going to shoot a teenager.
Right. I mean, you're going to do your best you can, but if it's a question of life or death, they're going to take him out.
Yeah. He just seemed like he was angry and distraught, but he just seemed more hurt than anything. He just wanted someone to understand, and I think Prentice had one of the best lines, like, "Don't hurt your friends because they're the only ones who actually understand what you're going through."
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, yep.
One of the things that when you look at emotions or like rage that's acted out, underneath the rage is anger, and behind the anger is sadness, and behind the sadness is fear. So it's just the kid's just afraid, and he's projecting it outward, and he's acting outwardly. So underneath it all, he's just afraid, and he's sad.
Yeah.
That's what's there.
Or one of the best lines from Star Wars. Yes, I'm quoting Star Wars. Like, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Yeah. I mean, this is
very true.
Yeah. This is a totally arbitrary statistic, but something like 80% of people who are bullied, grow up, and I mean, you retain those memories. Unfortunately, we have this habit of retaining the negative things that happen to us better than the positive moments in life. We recall them more clearly.
True.
But there is that 20% that turns either to extreme internal abuse or extreme external abuse.
Right.
So that's why suicide rates among teenagers are unfortunately so high. There's a high correlation with bullying in that. And then on the extreme side, you have people who react in an external fashion, which is what Kyle did. He tried to take control of his life and control of the situation in a very extreme manner because it was the only way he knew how to escalate the situation to obtain those results. To give
himself power in the situation where he didn't have it. But what's interesting though is like even in the animal kingdom, bullying happens.
Yeah.
I watch my dogs. The dog bullies the other dog, and it's a fact of life. And if people don't grow stronger through that, then they, when you think of Darwinism, they end up dying off. So there's I don't want to desensitize the concept of bullying at all, but there's also the aspect of it where somebody has to learn to grow through those challenges, where because people, if they don't get it when they're a kid, they're going to get it when they're an adult, you know, and if they don't learn to grow stronger by that experience, then we might be robbing them of the strength that they need to learn to develop by being pushed beyond their limit. I have a friend of mine whose son was going to a private school, and she put him in private school because he was getting bullied in the other one. And then he started getting bullied in the private school, and it's like, wait a second, you're trying to take away his learning. He has to learn how to go and deal with that stuff.
Right.
You know, so there's a line that gets crossed in some of these where they act out at the extremes, and or where the bullying just becomes overboard, like the tying to the pole, you know.
Yep.
Right, exactly. And I think it's also like the parents' involvement, because it doesn't seem like the parents were really involved in the kids' lives.
It's like kind of like, and there's always that balance too of how much do you involve versus how much do you let them deal with on their own. It's not easy answers, you know.
Right, because like even the Bergstrom family, the father was having painkiller addiction, the mother was having an affair, so they weren't really paying attention
They're
to.
out.
Yep. And that's an important
Amanda.
thing to point out. Like, Amanda was dealing with her own crap, and the only way that she knew how to process that was to make other people feel as miserable as
you get
she
a point.
did.
Yeah.
And that's never to excuse bullying or harassment behavior, but it is to kind of create that understanding that people who bully typically are
victims
themselves.
Yep. And
Hurt people.
Yes.
yes, it's a whole cycle.
It is.
It's a whole cycle.
It's vicious and it's mean.
Also, how you deal with it in the end as well.
Yes.
And there are ways to deal with it too.
And there are resources.
My parents put me in Taekwondo to defend myself.
Really?
Yeah, that's how bad
All
it
right,
was.
let's see it.
Yeah. True story.
True story. No.
But like that's how bad it was. Okay, moving on. I love this episode. It was so good. Like the message of it all. It's so relevant. Like 20 years ago, today, anytime you watch this is a timeless episode.
Yes.
Which is so well done. All right, moving on to a little fun segment I like to call Profiled. I don't know.
Profiled?
It's a working title.
Do we not have any cool music for that or anything?
Not
yet.
Oh, we will, though.
Profile.
I found this information, which is actually pretty cool. It's available on CBS.com under Criminal Minds. Go check it out. Some things that about this episode that I thought were very interesting. Eric Bakken and victims Austin Settergren and Scott Bergstrom those names were chosen to reflect the area's Scandinavian roots.
Yep.
So
That makes sense.
We have Scandinavian roots.
Oh, yeah. In a town called Red Wing, that's like 30 minutes away, there's an oofta shop.
Is that oofta? What are ooftas?
Oofta. It's an expression. It's like oofta. Like, oh gosh.
Is that why you're so white?
Probably.
Because I thought it was because no, but I mean she's so white, but I thought it was because her last name was Cullen.
I mean,
Like, did you see Twilight? The Cullens? Okay, they were vampires.
Oh,
No, but it's because
that's
it's
terrible.
Scandinavian. Okay, that's
Moving
interesting.
on.
Oofta.
Moving on. Next fun fact. This episode's style of representing the first crime scene from the teen's perspective, how, they do the reliving aspect, which, they haven't done that in a while.
I noticed that.
I missed that. Yes, the team's perspective harkens back to the old Hollywood horror flicks that features detectives reliving the crime. We need more of this.
Oh,
because,
they were doing the shooting and the
Yeah,
It was
like,
very interesting.
going through room to room.
It's kind of what they did in the first three
the earlier
seasons.
seasons, yeah.
The first 2 or 3.
Yeah, I miss it, and they need to do it again.
Yeah.
The scenes purposefully referenced Dr. Reed's experience with bullying. In high school, he was tied naked to a soccer post overnight in the episode The Elephant's Memory. So that was kind of like the inspiration for Kyle's story and how he was tied to a pole. Interesting stuff.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
There you go. Go check that out on CBS.com. There are actually more fun facts. I just picked out the 3 that I didn't know. So, all right, moving on to news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
And
So,
gossip.
Chris and I ran into Kirsten Bangsness this weekend.
As you do. As you do.
Me
Normal
too.
things.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've met her a few times now. She's pretty cool. We were, of course, talking about Criminal Minds, and she was talking about she's writing this upcoming episodes of Criminal Minds.
Oh, so
like
she's
a new
writing
one.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's writing it. They're filming it tomorrow.
It's called Spencer.
It's called Spencer. Yes, she tweeted it out. So we have a photo. It's the next one, Steve. It's called Spencer, written by Erica
her
Messer
script?
and
Yep.
Kirsten Vangsness.
Does that mean we're going to get her on for that show?
Maybe.
We should. She said she'd come.
Yeah.
We asked her.
I talked to her. I
Nice.
was like, "You'll definitely have to come." She said she.
And I talked to her, and
will
she
work
said,
it.
if I come, it's because of Chris. I'm joking.
Yeah. And then the next photo, you can see everyone doing a table live read, which is actually they're actually, this was today.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yes,
This
today.
is hot
So
gossip.
they are literally reading the script. They went through a read through today, and they're probably going to start filming it this week.
And when do we get to see this episode?
Probably in another month and a half.
Yeah.
Probably not till January.
Table read 12/13.
Yeah, it's 12.
That's what that says. So that's
Ah.
the
How cool is
episode
that?
in December.
Now, is this the first episode that she's written?
No, she
No.
actually wrote an episode last season.
She wrote
and she
Derek's
that's great.
episode.
Yeah, great episode. And she's writing another one.
She's really cool. I like her.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
she was
She's
really
written
cool.
a couple, and she always likes to write with Erica Messer because they bounce ideas off of each other and lines off of each other so easily that the flow just happens so quickly for
It's a
them.
neat character.
Yeah. Yeah, and like she teased during this when I was talking to her that like the episode was named after a character we haven't named an episode after before. I was like, oh, going back through my 250 episode memory. I was like, which character have we not talked about yet? And then I found out today it was Spencer. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so yeah, look
Actually-
forward to Spencer.
I actually got nervous when I saw that it was titled Spencer. Did you?
Yeah, I know. I was like, what are you gonna do to Spencer?
Spencer has been through enough.
I know, right? They all have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look forward to that episode. It'll be really, really cool. Another fun thing that I found, TV Guide actually posted a video. It's called Prop Master from L. Eisman. He is the prop master from Criminal Minds. It's called Inside the Prop Room. And it was a cool, like, 2-minute video where he showed, like, all the different type of weapons that they use on the show.
Oh, wow.
Some are, like, real, like, there was a real meat cleaver, and then there's a replica that's also rubber. So, like,
So they can
a lot
interchange them.
yeah, so there's a lot of weapons that are made as rubber that we actually see on camera when, like, you hit something. It's the rubber form. And then he also has, like, a case full of all these random creepy things that have been used on the show. Like, the one episode when there was a nucleation when the unsub was taking out the victim's eyes. Like, he still has that problem.
How do you
like,
say that?
enucleation.
Enucleation.
Taking out the ice, yeah. But that he still has that weapon. I was like, that's kind of creepy. I would not
case
hold
it
on to
comes
that.
back.
Yeah, of course, if they ever needed it. And then a couple weeks ago, I mean, we've been on and off thanks to the World Series scheduling. But on October 28th, Hallmark channel aired the American Humane Hero Dog Awards, where Adam Rodriguez actually presented with Allison Sweeney.
Wow,
Yeah, it
I've
was
met
pretty
Allison.
Cool. Yeah, I met her too. She's been here in the
she's
studio.
really cool. Yeah, I met her years ago.
Yeah. Which was really cool because, you know, I love Hallmark, and I was just watching it. And I was like, oh, what are you doing here, Adam? Yeah, and he presented. It was pretty
That's
neat.
very cool.
And then one more fun thing, Paget Brewster will appear on Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. Her character, of course, plays Prentice. The whole premise of that episode, she's going to be working with the international response team of the FBI for the assistance in closing open serial murder cases with ties to Taiwan.
Do we know when this is happening?
I don't know, but it's filming soon. 'cause
Are we
this
going to
was
do the
just-
show?
I'm planning on it.
All
Yes,
right. Are we
hopefully.
on?
We should do it.
Can we get?
Us
Yeah.
done.
Okay.
We
Dibs.
should do
We
it.
get grandfathered in. I
Yep.
got dibs too.
Yeah, we should do it. Yeah, so check out that, of course, for people who don't know, which, like, how would you not? It's the spin-off to Criminal Minds, so go watch Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. Paget Brewster is doing a crossover episode. And then, yeah, from tonight's episode, Paget Brewster, back in August, because that's when they filmed this current episode, she tweeted out, "Oh, the job perks. Night shoots with Adam and Joe Mantegna." And it's just those three are very cute, you know, because they had an awesome takedown scene
Yes.
in this episode, and that was them filming.
That's cool.
Yeah, so thanks, social media. Gotta love it. Yeah, and for all of those, if you have any information about bullying or like you need someone to talk to, you should go to stopbullying.gov. That's Gov. And there's like a lot of hotlines and things that can help you
Nice.
overcome bullying.
I like that.
So-
and I'm going to ask a really dumb question. This Beyond Borders,
Beyond Borders.
has that already started?
Yes.
It has. So we've
They
had
are-
one season, or do we have?
They are currently in season 2.
They're currently in season 2.
Yes.
And all we got to do is jump on board whenever we want.
Exactly. Yep.
Nice.
And the cool thing about Beyond Borders is that they're a BAU team, but they go across the whole world.
How do you like
it's
that?
It's literally international.
How do you like it compared to this one?
I haven't watched it as much as this,
Right.
but there are other like different rules, country rules and
Right.
regulations that you have to deal with when you go outside of America. It's always like, going against jurisdiction and like what's legal, what's not, and just like the whole culture culture differences.
And you may
that
have something that's
you
a
don't have to worry
crime
about.
here that's not someplace else, or
Right.
you've got to. Yeah, no, that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, so go check out Beyond Borders. Pretty cool. All right. In the meantime, I mean, this is a great episode. We can't really predict because all these episodes are completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
But thanks everyone for tuning in. In the meantime, where can everyone keep following you?
Follow me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram. I'll be there.
Cool.
And you can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen, not a vampire.
That's great.
She says.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. And we might be covering Beyond Borders, so check that out. And you might see Kirsten Banksness on the show.
Yes.
We're making it happen. I'm putting that out into the world. She's
magic.
cool, guys. She's cool.
She's awesome.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.